Hey guys, it's Keith. I got a package in the mail from Blue Meanie's TSI's Customs. It's 1/64th custom resin parts. He's got everything from wheels to tires to roll bars to engine components to seats to just about everything you name it. Nitrous bottles, so on and so forth. He sent me some stuff and he wanted me to take a look at it and see if it was something I could use. No strings attached, so that's what I'm doing. So the stuff came in a couple little baggies. Everything was wrapped. I unwrapped it for the video. And it sent me two packages because one got lost in the mail and then it ended up showing up after the fact. So red wheels aside, I'm not a fan of red wheels, but other than that, we do have some black ones. He's got headers. He's got a block here, which I'll never be able to show you the complete detail on this. But if you look at it real close, the detail is amazing. You got the fuel log, you've got water pump, you've got the crank pulley, valve covers are detailed, pretty much everything. And it comes with a supercharger. And on top of that supercharger also comes a pretty cool scoop. The detail on this stuff is amazing. I'm only praying that I can paint it enough to show off the amazing detail on this. And I got a couple set of headers. I got these, which is just amazing how close and how detailed these things are. And I also got some shorties here. Okay, and I got some tires. The rubber is really cool. They got a cool tread pattern. And what's even better, I'll show you in this package because I actually detailed one, or started to, just to be able to show you for the video. If I can find it. Let's see. Yeah. He did my logo, which is the skull and the crossbones with the pistons, as my rim. So I've got 8 rims, Outlaw Speed Shop custom rims, which are really, really cool. The detail on the pistons is freaking phenomenal. This one came with came with the same motor, but it also came with some nitrous bottles. Got a pair here. Same thing with the headers. Same type of supercharger, but I've also got like a fuel injected motor. You get the twin rails here. Again, the detail is phenomenal on this. And same thing with the shorty headers and the scoop. But I also got, and timing was impeccable, was this roll bar. And they're designed for these square bodies. They fit in almost, I'm kind of forcing it there. There we go. They fit perfect. These things are amazing. You get the triple roll bar. And I'm actually I've had this for a while. I'm going to be doing one of these soon. I got like 4 of them I've had since I was a kid. And aside from the fact that these are a little bit narrower here, this fits almost identical. And it looks really, really cool. So I'm dying to use this. I can't wait. That's why I actually have this truck out. But it was designed for, more of a square cab style. But it works out good because I'm going to be building a BoneShaker here. And I plan on trying to use as many of these parts as possible in this BoneShaker. So I'm dying to use them. I can't wait to use it. And I can only pray that I can get enough detail painted to be able to show off how accurate and how precise these things really are. So, and I believe he's got some new equipment coming. It's only going to make it better, which I don't even know how he can possibly do that. But anyways, in case I forget later, it's Blue Meanie's BlueMeanieTSICustoms.com. I'll put the link in the description of the video down below. So let's get on with the build. Alright, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop back at ya. This is a little bit of a longer video by a few minutes than normal. Working on a custom BoneShaker, and I'm actually working on two, but I'm only going to show you one. At this stage, I was kind of playing around with some different ideas for the second one, but I've got some Citadel skulls. If you looked at a few videos back, I did a What's on the Bench, and I just picked them up and was dying for a reason to use them, and this is the perfect opportunity. So, as with most projects, I'm kind of winging it a little bit. I know I want to use the parts that I mentioned earlier. So in order to do that, I need to cut off the entire front end of the BoneShaker. And that it's okay, except for, you can see right there, the post that secures the front of the car to the base is going to be wiped out completely. But surprisingly, it really wasn't an issue. The back post is still there, and it's enough to secure the body to the chassis. The rest of the stuff is going to get glued directly on the chassis anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. So after I cut that off, the little bit of grinding, smoothing out the firewall, it's pretty decent as far as fit goes. The only issue is you have to make a firewall, obviously, because the interior is one piece, and when you cut off the engine and the skull off the front, you lose the firewall. So here I am fitting the wheels, fitting the engine, and of course I picked one of the bigger skulls out of the kit. There's probably 8,000 little skulls, but this one was almost identical. I matched it up against the original, and size-wise, it's pretty close. So I used some styrene to make a firewall, and it also helps the body from sitting down too far on the chassis because there's nothing really to stop it. So I glued the skull on. Now, when you lose the other skull and cut the motor off, part of that molded aspect is what holds the front wheels in place and keeps them secure. So I had to make a base to A, mount the engine, and B, it's going to help create a little tunnel for the wheels to sit in. So once you cut the little tabs off completely so it sits nice and flush, it actually worked out really well. And you can see right there, I can just mount the motor right on top of it. The chassis, or the body, will actually fit well with the firewall that I made, fits right up against it. So it works out really well. Here I'm just kind of making like a little radiator, because the gap between the motor or actually the space between the firewall and the skull is much bigger than I expected. And with the motor that I'm using, the gap just seemed kind of weird, so I figured I'd make a little faux radiator to put in there. And this green stuff is evergreen, styrene, whatever you want to call it. Stuff's pretty cool, easy to work with. I haven't done a lot with it on regular cars. I've done a lot with Gaslands and post-apocalyptic type stuff, but this is the first time I've really gone a little bit more in depth. I'm tapping a hole here. Everybody does it differently. I use a snap-on 1/4-inch drive wrench ratchet with a 256 tap, and that the black socket actually is a socket from Snap-on that's designed to hold taps. So I build machinery and do control panels and electronics during the day. So I use that daily at work. So it's just something I'm used to using. So after I stripped the paint off the body earlier, and I'm pretty happy with the way things are mocked up, I'm just going to clean the body real quick with my wire wheel attachment and then a piece of steel wool, just to get the surface where I want it, A, to get the paint off, and B, gives it a little bit of a grip for the primer to adhere to. And steel wool works out really good. These castings really aren't all that great, and they've kind of played the hell out of them. This is the one with the solid roof. The other one you saw earlier that I was also building is an open roof. So for the purpose of this video, I decided to go with the solid roof because I wanted some surface to show off the paint. So Createx gloss black, straight out of the bottle, straight into your gun. No reducer, no nothing. This stuff's a little tricky to paint. It looks awesome, the gloss black, but you have to really, and I'm horrible at this. This one came out good, but um, you have to put your first coat on very light. Let it sit, and then go back 5 minutes later after it dries. Now you can put it on fairly heavy, and the heavier you put it, the glossier it gets. The once it's down and that light tack coat is up, it adheres to itself so well. It's almost hard to get runs. But if you put it on heavy the first time, you're screwed. So the Quicksilver is a silver chrome. Same thing. You've got to do a lot of light coats on this. You can't put it on heavy. The heavier you put it, the more aluminum it looks and the less chrome it looks. So I'll put 3 light coats on. I'm only going to show you a couple here. But it's amazing. And what this does is, because I'm painting it a candy color, the candies look better over a glossy, shinier chrome surface. So I'm going to use deep purple. We bought this Hobby Lobby a little while ago. Really, I think I bought it for a Dodge Dart. I never ended up using it, so I'm mixing it with some 40-30 balancing clear. I'll add some reducer into it and let it sit for 5 minutes. Dump it in my gun, and same thing as the Quicksilver. You put it on light. The first coat is really just a light tack coat, and this is something I've had to force myself to do, is to just put a light coat on, walk away, let it sit. Now you come back and you can put some medium coats on, and it'll adhere to itself, and it just looks amazing. I was kind of hemming and hawing about the purple. I was afraid it was going to be a little too dark on this for what I was after, but it ended up, I was real happy. It looked good. Now it's all details. Like I said, these motors are so detailed, and I'm not the greatest precision painter when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm working on my skills, but I'm still got a long ways to go. But I really wanted to highlight the details in the wheels and the motor. The base, I went a little extra further. I primed it. And now these wheels are a little small as far as with the base that I'm actually using. I mean, they're not small in general, but because of the way the BoneShaker is built. But I did do the disc brake rotors and the brake pads. And I'm using some lead Belcher Citadel paint to hit up the aluminum aspects, which would be the tank on the back, and then the, I guess you'd call it the suspension on the rear. It's like an independent rear suspension on this, like a Corvette suspension. So here I'm touching up those brake rotors. Overall, there's a lot of detail work in this as far as painting. The customizing and the fabrication aspect of it really took the least amount of time, believe it or not. And then the rest is paint a little bit, let it dry, put a second coat on, let it dry, that type of thing. So I painted the chassis a Baden black. And now once the skull, I painted white, and then I'm taking the Agrath Earthshade, which is more of a wash, and I'm just kind of highlighting, trying to get in all the pooled areas, recessed areas like the eye sockets, the nose, the cheekbones, and then there's some areas on the sides of the skull that really need to be highlighted. And the same thing with the skull, my logo inside the wheels. And this is still so cool, the fact that I've got my own wheels. They're just pretty freaking cool. I decided to just paint the seats gray. I couldn't really come up with a color, and I'm not the most color coordinated person in the world. I wear the same shit to work every day and don't really pay attention. Now I'm taking some Screaming Skull, and I'm just going to dry brush that because it's more of a, I guess you'd call it an eggshell white. I'm just working it into the bristles, and I'm just going to highlight the skull on the front. And what it'll do is it'll pick out the raised areas, so it amplifies the recessed areas that has the Agrath Earthshade on it. And came out really good. If you'll notice in the background, I painted the headers white, and it's kind of like an old school look. I mean, everybody uses chrome headers, and I don't know. I grew up with white headers. You know, you put them on, and 5 minutes later, all the paint flakes off. But the wheels came out really good. I'm just snapping them in there, and painting the tail lights on the back of the body itself. But overall, this came out good. I ended up putting, here I'm gluing the wheels on, and these things fit perfect. I use the same size steel rod that I use for regular Hot Wheels. So he made the diameter of the holes on the wheels, and they're all this way. So it'll fit the same thing, so you're not buying like 12,000 different things. It really came out good. If you notice, I put the headers on upside down, so I swapped side to side, and it just came out amazing. So I'm going to get into the big reveal here. Sorry this took a little longer than usual, but here it is, and I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I appreciate you watching and the comments that are soon to follow, good, bad, indifferent, and ugly. So thanks a lot, and I'll catch you on the next one.